This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 train. The next stop is
Wall Street.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Not Your Advisor with NYU Grad on Wednesday, July 17th. Let's jump right into the session. It wasn't as crazy as yesterday. I can tell because I wasn't exhausted. But it was certainly quite a sell-off in the Russell, but especially the NASDAQ and the S&P. The Dow was up, but I'll get to that in a second. Looking at breadth, we had 1,109 new highs. We had 83 new lows. 3,275 advancing, or about 34% were advancing versus 61% declining today. 26% of stocks were below its 50-day moving average. 28% of stocks were below its 200-day moving average. Now, the story of the day really is AI, semiconductor / NASDAQ, and Mag 7 names. They were bludgeoned. The type of sell-off that is simply not rotation. And it's not the type of sell-off you and I could activate. This was big money selling and going into safety. Not so much the Russell 2000, but literally Dow 30 names, yield paying funds, that sort of thing, not into Roku. So the Russell Futures RTY was up 6 points, or 0.27%. The NASDAQ futures were down mightily, 512 points just on the NASDAQ. The S&P 500 was down 78 points, or 1.4%. The Dow was up 243 points, up 0.6%. Just across the board, it was, unless you were in the Dow 30, it was pretty ugly today. So let's take a quick look at the complexion. Oh, quick correction. The Russell was down 1%, but it was down much less than the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 today. So let's keep going and keep peeling this onion here. I want to cover what was strong, what was weak, but why can't I talk today? I want to also cover the Beige Book. Now, I have not read the whole thing. I read maybe 40% of it. But before I could fall asleep, I stopped. And I was like, wait a minute. I can have AI help me to do this. So I went to Gemini and I asked Gemini to please summarize the Beige Book. And this is what it came up with. I'm quoting Gemini. This is an article about the Federal Reserve's Beige Book. It discusses the economic conditions in different regions of the United States. Economic activity has seen slight growth, but this varies by region. Some regions report flat economic activity, and some report decline. Employment has increased at a slow pace. The labor market is seeing a cooling trend. Most sectors have been seeing a modest growth in wages. The future of the economy is uncertain, with expectations of slower growth in the next 6 months. End quote. So that's the summary of that. It's going to be good until it ain't, Some will say this is just a blip, a nice pullback to buy the effing dip. So I'm going to post a poll. Is the end near? Is the end of this sell-off near? Or is the end of the bull rally near? Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll give some of my thoughts as we continue down today's rabbit hole. One bit of housekeeping. I was able to spend about an hour with Mark Kreitzman from Efani. We had a great discussion on how he found his way to Afani. He actually got hacked himself. I talk a little bit more detail about my own personal SIM swap hack and how I was able to defeat that incident. And we go through like 11 tips, free tips, that you can do now by yourself to protect you and your family and your assets, whether it's your checking account, savings account, 401, crypto, trading account, etc. So I'll be releasing that later this week after their marketing team approves it. And I would love to know your thoughts. But that should be coming shortly. Let's see, looking at the NASDAQ, we also had like 178 highs versus 22 lows across the NASDAQ. So it's very curious to me, right? Because the breadth numbers show that we had a very bullish day. But when you take a look under the hood, it was not pretty. The NQ, which is the NASDAQ futures, lost 20,000, which I've been watching for the past few sessions, and it lost it at the end of the day. NASDAQ and S&P closed at the lows of the day. The semiconductor group was totally murdered today. Dividend stocks that I've covered in the past were either all green or pretty much break even, so I'm not going to cover them. Not much has changed there other than the fact that they were green when everything else was red. This really was a rotation into safety. If you take a look at the sectors that how they performed today, consumer defensive was up 1.29%. Then it was real estate up 0.59%, financials up 0.53%, energy up 0.5%. Leading to the downside, you had technology down 3.96%, communication services down 1.8%, consumer cyclical down 1.8%, industrials down 1.2%, and basic materials down 1.84%. Let's go over what was strong and what was weak. So what was strong? SOX-S, that is the 3x bear of semiconductor, up 21% today. That kind of tells you what kind of day the semiconductor group had. VIX up 9.78%. I noted yesterday that the VIX was green while everything else was doing well, and that cannot last. And I also said that the Russell 2000 cannot hold the entire market up by itself, and we would need participation or things would get worse. And that's what happened today. SQQQ, which is short the Qs, were up 8.7%. New York Community Bank was 8.4%. These are all bearish ETFs, so I'm going to skip over these. AbbVie was up 3.5%. Yext was up 3.4%. Crude oil was up 2.8%, and USO, which is also oil, up 2.2 and 1.9, and PaySafe up 1.8. That really was it. All the short ETFs were up, and the Dow. What was weak? This is a long list. I'm not going to cover all of them. I'm going to try to get to the 3% negative, but these are all in the red and percentages. So semiconductor long, SOX-L down 21%, ASML Holdings down 12.7%, AMD down 10.2%, Lam Research down 10.07%, ARM Holdings down 9.5%, IREN down 8.7%, Qualcomm 8.6%, Broadcom 7.9%, Carvana 7.7%, Kura Sushi 7.6%, Uber 7.6%, Wolf 7.5%, Reddit 7.4%, Datadog 7.3%, AppLovin 7.3%, SMH 7.1%, Shopify 7.04%, Synopsys 6.9%, Super Microcomputer SMCI down 6.9%, Kava 6.8%, SOX Philadelphia Semiconductor down 6.8%, Dell 6.7%, ACMR down 6.6%, NVIDIA 6.6%, Sweetgreen 5.9%, Hut 5.7%, Meta 5.6%, Wayfair 5.5%, DoorDash 5.1, Uranium 4.8, Lyft 4.8. Oh my God, I'm still in the fours. Hims and Hers down 4.8, MicroStrategies 4.4, Marathon 4.3, UPro 4.2, CMG Chipotle 4.2, Rivian 4.1, Zscaler 4, Harmony Gold 3.9, CrowdStrike 3.8, DraftKings 3.6, Affirm Holdings 3.5, Freshpet 3.4, Instacart 3.3, SLV down 3.2. Oh my God, I'm still in the threes. Toll Brothers 3.1, NetApp 3.1, Hovanian 3.1, Tesla 3.1, GDXJ 3.1, Silver Futures 2.9, NDX 2.9, DR Horton 2.9, Kinross Gold 2.9, SILJ 2.8, NASDAQ Futures 2.8, and Natural Gas Futures down 2.7. I want to stop there because if I keep going down the twos and the ones, I'll be here forever. Whew. All right. So free members, continue to watch the Semiconductor Group and the Mag 7, as well as the 10-year yield. Thursday morning, you have initial jobless claims and the Philadelphia Fed manufacturing survey that's due both out at 8:30. And I will see you all after the Thursday session. Premium members, please stay on. We're going to cover some juicy charts today. That's my train.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.